Strap on your seatbelt and prepare for takeoff. You're about to go on a journey. It's First Contact Radio with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Welcome to First Contact Radio, everybody. Glad to be here. I want to start things off by just giving a personal thank you to all of you who are sending messages, welcoming me back, welcoming the show back. I don't always have time to get back to everybody, but I just want to say thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It is good to be back and sharing this news and information. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, let's move on with things here. There's a lot going on in the world that we are fully aware of. The biggest thing that's going on is the censorship. Okay? There's a huge battle taking place between the forces of good and the forces of evil. Well, I am not one who would like to always be choosing sides and pointing out that one side is right and one side is wrong. We can definitely look at this situation we're in where there is a problem with one side. One side, one group of people have chosen the side of evil, while others have chosen the side of good. Those who have chosen the side of evil, well, sometimes they're Democrats, sometimes they're Republicans, sometimes they're independent. Doesn't matter what their political affiliations are, they're all connected with the same evil. Whereas those who are gravitating to the side of good are also from a variety of different places. The problem we have is the information that is shared with people is distorted. And I'm going to venture to say that I think our biggest problem we have, and I agree with the president, the biggest enemy of the people is the media. Because the media is the source that people go to find out whether information is important that they need to know about or not. And the media sources that we have greatly failed the American people. Not only the sources of news here in America, but throughout the world. They've greatly failed the people because they have become very compromised. And in this regard, the compromising, the sides, the place they're taking is the side of the leftist. So while I do not like to see the divisions taking place, I'm very aware of the fact that there has a division been made. The left, the Democratic Party, has thrown down the gauntlet and made it very clear that anybody who doesn't think like them, act like them, look like them is the enemy. You know who else used to talk like that? A guy named Hitler and the Nazis. They used to believe that no, if somebody wasn't like them, then you needed to go. You needed to be removed. And it's sad when that sort of ideology gets into any sort of people whatsoever. So we had the shooting that took place, mind you, just a couple days after a Democratic debate where there was one candidate on stage, Marianne Williamson, who is out there as the face of a book, A Course in Miracles, that I've shown you, and you can go find the articles, tracks back to the MKultra program. A few days after the debate, there was these horrific shootings. Now, we've learned from these shootings that the shooters are connected both to Antifa and to the left. We know that they were supporters of the Democrats, the Democrat ideals, and one guy has gone so far as to outrightly speak about how he was a supporter of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Yet today, you can still hear Elizabeth Warren out there speaking as if people need to stop being so violent and having violent rhetoric. I don't know if that woman has 1 ounce of shame in her entire body because a shooter has claimed that he was a supporter of hers, where he was going to vote for her, and yet she still is out spouting her nonsense. She should be out there condemning the violence along with Bernie Sanders, but they're not. If you recall, during the campaign of President Trump, there was a guy that tried to rush the stage when Trump was on the stage. If you recall, that was a Bernie Sanders supporter. If you remember during the baseball game when Steve Scalise was shot, that was by a Bernie Sanders supporter. And now we have the shooting that took place in Dayton, Ohio by a Bernie Sanders supporter. Well, that seems like strike one, strike two, strike three for the Bernie bros, because whatever it is that he's selling seems to have a whole lot of violence attached to it, or he has a whole bunch of really psychotic individuals that are his supporters that are believing what he's telling them. If only they realized Bernie was a sham. If only they realized that Bernie makes and has all kind of money and drives fancy cars and has multiple homes and is not what he describes himself to be. But let's look. Bernie describes himself as a democratic socialist. And we saw, and I told you about the video the other day of the Democratic Socialist meeting down in Atlanta. They were more concerned about being triggered by the people in the room who were talking too loud and who were bringing that's up. I mean, it was a whole mess of emotions. People, comrade this, comrade that. These are the supporters of that movement. They are unstable individuals. You can certainly go online and you can find there's a whole lot of instability that's out there. Whole lot of instability. The shooter from El Paso, he had some mental issues. He was seeing a therapist. His father was a therapist. We're going to get more into him in a bit. So let me backtrack here. 8chan was removed temporarily from the internet. 8chan was and has and is an important source because when the Q movement began, it was through the chans that this information was being dropped. Originally in 4chan and then moved to 8chan, and that became the home, the only place where these Q crumbs were being dropped. And so this effort to shut down 8chan is a lot more than just shutting down 8chan. It has to do with trying to silence a movement of people who are investigating, open source investigators, simply sourcing out the truth, sourcing out the details that people need to know. There's a statement from the owner of 8chan online today. It's available. The link's going to be so you can watch it. And he talks about the incident. He talks about how they have been from the get go in contact with the police, with the FBI. He talks about the manifesto that was posted up on 8chan. However, he confirmed what has already been known, that this manifesto didn't originate on 8chan. It originated in Instagram. And then somebody reposted, though not the shooter, but somebody reposted it from Instagram onto 8chan. Question is, has anybody heard about Instagram being taken down? Has Cloudflare stepped in to remove the security that they have around Instagram? Has Tucow stepped in to remove their domain name? I don't think so. In the same way that they haven't stepped in to do anything with Facebook and Twitter, both of which are found to have accounts of ISIS members and Al Qaeda members and people involved with all kind of other really horrific things, from child pornography and all kind of other gross, disgusting things that should not be in the world. But nonetheless, those places are still up, which tells you this is only a political move. It's a political move to silence a movement. But don't worry, nothing's going to stop this movement from happening. Nothing's going to stop this from happening. This is already in progress, and all this is doing is making it worse for those involved. Now, here's a story just came out. Sex scandal rocks FBI. Top agents under fire for reported sexual affairs with CNN reporters. High-ranking FBI insiders say they reported top-level FBI brass for continual sexual romps with CNN reporters, but former FBI Director James Comey and his successor Christopher Wray have looked the other way and did nothing. The extramarital affair between FBI boss Peter Strzok and top FBI lawyer Lisa Page is public knowledge. Page has resigned from the bureau. But now Strzok's name has surfaced again in regards to an unfolding CNN scandal. According to FBI insiders and other top FBI bosses, they're implicated for sexual tryst with CNN reporters and anchors. Here's what we know. High-level FBI officials complained to the highest executive officers of the FBI that Strzok and more top agents were engaged in sexual relations with CNN's on-air personalities, though high-ranking sources say top management did not investigate the reports and the relationships continued. and the sexual romps might still continue this day. All right, there's more to the articles. You can check it out. So, got Peter Strzok and CNN on-air personalities. So I'm going to say, what, Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper? I could say that's probably a possibility. Probably a good possibility. We know there's others there that are involved in their horrific activities. But nonetheless, that's what's going on in the world. And that's what's going on in the state of affairs with the FBI. And for some reason, Christopher Wray is turning a blind eye. Maybe Christopher Wray isn't who people thought he was. Maybe there's something more about that man that should be looked at. Maybe he's not the trustworthy guy. Let's look at the El Paso shooter here. DC's Dirty Laundry has this article up. Follow the dots. MKultra and the El Paso shooter. Takes about 5 minutes of research to connect Patrick Crusius to the CIA and its notorious MKultra mind control program. John Brian Crusius is Patrick's father. He's the counselor involved in infused being therapy in Dallas, Texas. He specializes trauma and PTSD. Crusius's webpage notes that he worked for the Timber Lawn Medical Health System in Dallas. Timber Lawn closed down in early 2018. The psychiatric hospital was investigated for patient abuse, including rape. Timber Lawn is owned by Universal Health Services, a Fortune 500 corporation in the hospital management business. In 2016, BuzzFeed ran an expose showing the corporation, is responsible for a number of questionable practices at its nationwide facilities. In addition to accusations, UHS defrauded Medicare. The report lists a number of other serious violations, including holding patients solely for financial gain. The FBI and DoD teamed up to investigate billings to TRICARE, the insurance plan for active military and their families. Concerned by the use of psychotropic drugs in military personnel and veterans, Citizens Commission on Human Rights International's complaints noted that UHS developed a Patriot Support Program providing treatment for active duty members in the armed forces, veterans, and their families also treated at the UHS behavioral facilities. Researchers at Yale School of Medicine reported in the American Journal Geriatric Psychiatry that 30% of veterans prescribed psychotropic drugs had not been diagnosed with a mental health problem. It says the military psychiatrists and physicians continue to hand out psychotropic medications like candy to active duty soldiers and veterans with or without a diagnosis of a mental health problem. The drug companies continue to ignore off-label use of their drugs and are glad the military cooperates in promoting them. Neither group confronts the clear evidence linking increased psychotropic drug use in the military with the increase in suicide and violent murders committed by others. On April 30th, 2007, Massachusetts Daily Collegian announced the University of Massachusetts hosted a lecture by Colin A. Ross. The founder and president of the Colin A. Ross Institute for Psychological Trauma, Ross is well known for treating patients for multiple personality disorders and associated trauma disorders, including depression, self-mutilation, and suicide at Timberlawn Mental Health System of Dallas, Texas. During an interview with Highside Chat podcast, a Canadian academic psychiatrist talked about taking up residency in Texas. That often became the gateway to his involvement in the study of satanic cults and first-hand accounts from patients detailing their victimization through military intelligence testing programs. Ross began investigating Project Bluebird, Project Artichoke, MK Search, and Project MK Often. Okay, there's a lot more to the article that really discusses these connections. I think you got the gist of what it is. But there's something going on. We are being attacked, okay? We are being attacked. And what is the weak point? The weak link is the mind. A weakened mind can be manipulated. A manipulated mind will do whatever the manipulator wants it to do. This is the problem we have. Not only do minds get manipulated, but they're being done so with purpose, with intent. There are programs that are set up to manipulate the mind. These programs, some of them are part of the social sphere. Facebook is there to manipulate your mind, manipulate your thoughts through the way in which information is put out. There's been various psychological tests that have been presented to the users of Facebook. Certainly, Twitter is involved as well. Instagram, Snapchat, they're all connected, okay? They're all connected and they're ways of manipulating people's minds. People see an image and they see it and it creates something. It's one of the oldest methods that we have. Pictures worth 1,000 words. People are fed these images, these satanic graphic images. It gets into their mind, breaks down their system, and now they're in a place where somebody else is telling them what to do, what to say. Kind of like Hollywood, where actors on sets are told what to do and what to say. And then when they're not on the movie set and there's something political, they get a phone call from their agent saying, "Hey, Mr. Clooney, we need you to say something. I don't care if you believe in it or what you think, you got to say this." And boom, out goes George Clooney to say what he's going to say because he's just a puppet for the New World Order that they're trying to continue to implement. And on and on and on with Hollywood. You know, Hollywood's out there talking about the gun violence. If Hollywood really was so concerned about gun violence, they shouldn't make any more movies about gun violence. None. None. There should not be one movie coming out of Hollywood that deals with guns. But they're not going to stop that because Hollywood is a hypocritical situation that is only interested in making money. They don't care about how people are affected. They're going to keep pumping out what they want because it's about the money. It's about the money and it's about the control. Here's an article from Blacklisted News. Scientists announced they can manipulate brain cells with smartphone controlled implants. The source was Activist Post was the source of this. It says, research has determined that smartphone notifications can make brains go completely haywire. It is also already proven that exposure to all sources of cell phone and wireless Wi-Fi radiation can disrupt the blood-brain barrier, which can cause it to leak. That's not a good thing. This can kill brain cells. Researchers also indicate it can cause irreversible damage on brains, and kids are more affected. Research has also determined that it can reduce impulse control, which leads to violence and homicide. So, can it really be a big surprise to these scientists that a wireless implant controlled by a smartphone can manipulate brain cells? It's bad enough they already been testing these defenseless mice on defensive mice. Have they considered any or all the risks associated with implementing these in people, including the potential for hacking these implants? Well, I'm not sure if they have, but how would these implants possibly get into anybody? Person has to volunteer to have one put in. That's one way. But have we not seen programs that have been put out in society by liberal writers in Hollywood that include the things of nanobots that are absorbed into a person that may not know that? Have we not seen several of these shows? Have we not heard stories of people who have gotten vaccines only to have an adverse effect because there was something in there that implanted itself in their brain? Of course we have. These things are going on, and if there's a way to slip these implants into people without them knowing, well, there's going to definitely be the effort by those who want to make that happen. So we need to be fully aware of what the challenges we're facing in this day and age are. Hate to admit that we have this evil force in life that we have to fight against, but we truly do. And many, many people are affected by this. Are the people affected by it? Are they ever going to come back from their anger and their hatred? I don't know. Some of them are so angry and so hate filled. You can go on YouTube right now and you can just go through and you can watch tons of programs, tons of clips to just see unhinged individuals, completely unhinged. We've got a big mental health crisis, I'd say, going on within this country. Many, many unhinged individuals out there who think that they're in the right. And, you know, the left the Democratic Party seems to be sucking them all up, bringing them all in as part of their team. You know why? Because in order to apply some of those ludicrous ideas the Democrats have, ideas that are so stupid, the only way you could do that is if the people that you are wanting to sell those ideas to you are even dumber than the ideas that you're presenting. Guess what? If a person is out there completely disconnected from their own mental faculties, you've got a prime candidate. A prime candidate. And that's what's going on. Look how over this last weekend, the the politicization of these shootings has occurred. That shouldn't be happening, but it is. People who are running for president are going out there and making statements they shouldn't be making, jumping to conclusions on things. My guess is some of them are actually involved on a deeper level with what's going on. Beto O'Rourke laughed when he was talking about this. He laughed when he was talking about this. Why would the man laugh? There wasn't one thing about the entire incident that was funny, but yet he laughed. He thought it was funny. But the mainstream media is not playing that video. Oh no, they don't want you to know that Beto is an actual scumbag that believes such things. They don't want to let you know that Beto had a fantasy that he wanted to kill children and run people over. Oh no, they don't want you to know that. They want you to think that Beto is an upstanding guy. He's not an upstanding guy. He's obviously a horrible, horrible person that wants to capitalize off of the tragedy that occurred. And it seems, when we look at his laughter, that he is glad that it happened. What a sick, twisted individual. And yet, people are believing what that man is saying. There's a special place in hell reserved for people like that. Maybe, before he gets to hell, maybe there'll be a special place in Gitmo for him as well. I think that would be great. These folks are ruining things around here. All right, let me jump over to this story here. Forbidden Technology, Part 2, Project Looking Glass. This is something interesting you might want to dig into. So this post is about technology which allows you to watch past or the future, and it also works as a stargate to other planets. Or is this what it is claimed to be? So here we go again to dive in the world of Project Looking Glass. Rumored technology. Classified technology is rumored to be 10,000 years ahead of the public sector technology and is accelerating away from the public sector technology at a current rate of 1,000 years per calendar year. Looking Glass technology device using wormhole technology to see the future probability or past. The original technology was derived from cylinder seals that predate Sumerian time frame. Some of the information was recopied in Sumerian cylinder seals. This information was a series of instructions for accessing wormholes which naturally pass in the hyperspace in which we find ourselves. And from there, scientists worked on the technology. They built the equipment from the instructions. After building the equipment from the instructions, they began to tweak it and to find different things out about it. One of the things they found that they could actually use it as a peering portal, like a peering glass, if you will, to see different aspects of not only the future but the past. The device, at least 3 or 4 years ago, could not focus on a detailed sequence of activities in the future. In other words, you could not see exactly what would happen, like a series of events. Consider the multiverse idea combined with the work of Richard Gott on cosmic strings. The multiverse apparently is accessed when the forward mode is set. Consider the views provided by Looking Glass as one of the many possible realities, or at least in the future view model. In viewing some possible future events, it was discovered that this type of technology was a possible contributing factor to a cataclysmic event. The groups using the technology all agreed to dismantle the technology and agreed not to use it until after the year 2017. It was also discovered that information about the technology had been purposefully planted in the past in many areas of the world. One such place was Iraq. which has been confiscated. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. There's an interview that is there. It's a nice interview about the topic, but you get the idea of what Project Looking Glass is. Is it real? We've heard lots of rumors of this over the year. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it's certainly something to dig into to find out the truth of that. Now, are all of these different technologies and things coalescing at this time? I think so. It seems like there's a lot of things coming together. I'm sure that when we look at the world and we recognize how intense it has gotten, I'm sure we realize that we can't keep going this way forever, that something's going to have to give sooner or later. What is it that's going to give? I don't know. But something's going to give. That's why I think that we are at times which are very crucial, and something is definitely going to have to change our perspective on things. And that's what I think is going to happen. It seems that there's going to be some truth exposed, and when it does, well, then we're going to have to weather the storm of those who don't want to accept the truths. Going to have to weather the storm of those who are going to want to riot and fight. It's not about fighting. We're not looking to cause violence in the world. There's plenty of that. We're looking to find peace in the world. And the only way we can do that is by bonding together to put out the peaceful vibes. We have to be aware of the evil that's out there so we could stop it, but we cannot continue by continuing to promote and cause more evil from the evil that's there. That's not going to do anybody any good. Not going to be doing anybody any good. Don't walk on eggshells. Don't let people walk all over you. But also, we don't have to be aggressors either. All right, one more story. This is kind of a fun one here. It's a video, Carla in Area 51. Kind of a funny video. I don't know if this is for real, if she makes this as just sort of a fun thing, but she's talking about the Area 51 uh, experience that's going to happen with all the people marching on it, and that when they march on it, that there's going to need different roles. People are going to have to be playing in order to participate, and she felt that she would be best served by providing refreshments to people. So she is going to be, as she said, loading up her El Camino with the various ingredients so she can make snow cones, and I think it said funnel cakes. So if you go out to Area 51, Carla's got you covered on the snow cones and the funnel cakes so that you can go and you can do your march as need be and see how far you get. It'll be an interesting day indeed when that day arrives to see how all things unfold. To see how it folds. So there you go, Carla, Area 51, snow cones and funnel cakes. And finally, my friends, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so when the day of evil comes, you can stand your ground. Well, my friends, that day of evil seems to have arrived. Therefore, we need to make sure we are wearing the armor to protect ourselves. We see evil each and every day that is affecting life, and it's affecting the minds of people in the world. So put on the armor, surround yourself with the good vibes, the protections of God, the love. You can do it very easily by just imagining yourself with this armor around you, an invisible force field of armor protecting yourself. And you simply remember two simple words: trust God. And if you truly have the faith to trust God and know that that's enough to protect you, you'll be amazed at the protection you do receive. At which point we'll realize how simple it was. But at the same time it's simple, it's also the most challenging thing, because faith can often be challenged, and we need to have great strength to maintain that faith. So be strong, my friends, be faithful. Trust God. Continue to put good vibes in the world, and don't worry about the challenges that we're facing. Don't worry about the problems that are going on, because they will be resolved. Because I know that good conquers evil and God wins. All we have to do is just continue to stay the path, stay the course, and allow all things to unfold accordingly. Because as much as we like it or not, we're on this ride, and we simply need to ride it out to the end. That's it, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Take care of yourself. God bless. Peace. I'm out of here. FirstContactRadio.com.